Mega Gyarados was able to get top 16 at the Indianapolis Regional Championship. We're going to be trying out a recreation of that team and seeing how well it can perform. This is a dual Mega team that was able to get top 16 at the Indianapolis Regional Championship, and our goal for this video is to only use the Mega Gyarados portion. But first, let's break down the team. So first Pokemon up is going to be the Mega Gyarados, which is an interesting Mega Evolution choice. So it's a water flying type, which is pretty good generally because it does have access to a ground immunity, which is solid. Intimidate with the bulk is especially impressive on Gyarados because of the Intimidate lowering the defense drop, and then has pretty solid special defense. So it is able to tank a lot of moves, and then Dragon Dance is able to boost its attack and speed, which can be very helpful. When it Mega Evolves, it does get access to Mold Breaker, which is able to ignore abilities. Think of stuff like Levitate on Rotom if we had Earthquake, or sometimes we'd be able to break the Disguise on Mimikyu and don't have to worry about it. We could just attack through it, so it can be very helpful there. However, this one is running Waterfall, Lash Out, Dragon Dance, and Protect. So Waterfall does have a very powerful water type move that's physical, but also has the chance to flinch, which is useful when you get that speed boost on the Gyarados. Lash Out, which is a dark type move, a little bit weaker than Crunch, but the benefit is that if the opponent does lower the stat on the Gyarados before the Gyarados goes for a Lash Out on that turn, the Lash Out actually doubles in power, so it can be really helpful there. And Mega Gyarados, of course, is really nice into stuff like the Incineroar. It's good into Sinisha because that Lash Out is going to be really threatening. So it's really good against those defense, of course, but it's also able to do a ton of damage. Good bulk, especially after Mega Balls with having a really high special defense, able to dish out a ton of damage. So it's actually a pretty impressive Mega Evolution that we haven't seen too much of. Of course, there are Pokemon like Sneasler, a bunch of fairies, and more, which can make it a bit tricky. But Gyarados does have access to be both a non-Mega offensive support with the Intimidate, and then of course having the option to sweep with Dragon Dance while in its regular form, but of course can then use the Mega Evolution to get more attack power and the same type of attack bonus on Lash Out. So it can be used both as a Mega on this team or just like a sweeper with the Floette instead. So the EV spread on this Gyarados, we do have a good amount of speed. It is able to outspeed the Admin Basculegion, still have a lot of attack for the jump point because sometimes the Gyarados is only able to get 1 or 2 Dragon Dances off, so you'll need as much attack as possible, especially with Intimidate still running around, and then the rest is going into HP. Gyarados already has some pretty naturally high defenses, and then with the combination of its already high special defense alongside double Intimidate on this team, I don't think you need too much bulk, so just gonna go with a lot of speed that makes sense to me. After Dragon Dance, you're still able to outspeed stuff like the Sneaslers at our max speed, then like the Talonflames as well, and then a good amount of attack, and then a little bit of bulk as a remainder. And for this video, we are focusing all in on the Mega Gyarados. We are bringing Mega Gyarados to every single game in today's video to see if it's worth it or not. Next Pokemon we have on this team is going to be the Sneasler, which does make a lot of sense. You do have that core, which is going to be like the Sneasler alongside the Incineroar Sinisha, and it makes a ton of sense because you do have access to Fake Out and Coaching, kind of similar to the Charizard X teams that we have seen on this Mega Floette team. Just this time we're running a Mega Gyarados instead because having double Intimidate can be really nice on this team to benefit the Floette, but also allow Gyarados to be a potential sweeper as well. This EV spread on the Sneasler is a Focus Sash one, so all you really need is max speed and max attack. It was an adamant nature, so you can dish out as much damage as possible to get the close combat roll onto the Kingambits potentially, and you do have access to Dire Claw that you do want to be able to hit the Floettes for a lot of damage, as well as Coaching to be able to boost the attack and defense boost of your allies, especially the Gyarados here, and the Garchomp, which can be very helpful. And then Burden, of course, doubling the speed when the held item is consumed, going to be that Focus Sash on the Sneaser's case. Next Pokemon we have is going to be a Roselli Berry Jolly Max Speed Garchomp here with the Rough Skin ability, which is able to chip any foes that come into contact with Garchomp, and has a pretty standard moveset of Earthquake, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, and Dragon Claw. When you're running a heavy setup team, you kind of need multiple ways to be able to remove the Whimsicott because of Encore. That could be very annoying to lock into your setup move, so you want the ability to knock out the Whimsicott as quick as possible. That's why we're running Poison Jab on the Garchomp. Earthquake going to be the ground coverage, which pairs nicely with the Gyarados. Rock Slide to be able to hit the Charizards, and of course Dragon Claw to be able to hit other dragons in this format. Simply just a max attack and max speed. Garchomp is able to do a ton of damage. Roselli Berry allows it to survive one attack from like the Floettes and Sylveons, and then of course paired with a Coaching Sneasler can be a really threatening Pokemon after a +1 attack boost and defense boost, allowing it to take attacks. So this thing can be a monster and another offense to this team, especially into the Charizards that the Gyarados and the Floette don't have the best initial damage output into. Next Pokemon we have is going to be the Eternal Floette, and this thing has been an absolute monster with that Mega Evolution, which does give it the Fairy Aura when it does Mega Evolve. Flower Veil here is going to be irrelevant on this team. I guess it could affect Sinistra because that means any of the grass types aren't affected by status or stat drops, but very unlikely it's going to really matter too much on the Sinistra. However, the EV spread on this Floette here, as you can see here, modest max speed flow is pretty common because you want to outspeed like a lot of the Adamant Chomps as well as the Charizard Ys, because you want to be able to go for a Calm Mind before like a Charizard Y or Timid Glamora. So you do have a lot of speed on the Floette, and that's why a lot of Floettes have been running these modest max special attack variants recently. This spread was built by the Korean national champion with a lot of HP investments, so you do have access to a lot of bulk on the Floette, especially with double Intimidate. And then the rest is going to go into special attack to get the jump point into special attack, and then remainder in defense. So you have multiple Intimidate to have Floette be able to take these physical hits well. You have the special side with Calm Mind and already high special defense. And then after like a few Calm Minds, this Floette will be able to sweep teams. We're not going to see it, unfortunately, in this video because we are going to be bringing the Gyarados in all our games, but that is what the Floette is going to do. Floette plus Incineroar Sinistra is always a really strong combo, and let's talk about the supports in Sinistra and Incineroar. Sinistra up first with the Citrus Berry, which is able to heal itself by 25% when it goes below 50%, and Hospitality, of course, is going to be a really good ability to recover the HP on its allies by 25% every time that Sinistra switches in. It's going to be a calm Sinistra, which is pretty interesting. A lot of the format has been favoring bold, but I guess it makes sense for stuff like the Heat Waves from Charizard outside of Sun, or after a parting shot. You also have access to surviving a Blizzard from Frostlass immediately, or Shadow Ball from Mega Gengar. So just being able to take those attacks is really nice. So that's why we have a lot of special defense on the Sinistra, and you do have multiple forms of Intimidate with Incineroar and the Gyarados that you don't need as much physical attack initially. So this Sinistra is going to be running pretty standard set, Protect to keep itself around, Rage Powder for redirection, Matcha Gotcha, that spread grass type move that heals the Sinistra but also has a chance for burn, and then this one opting for Life Dew for the recovery, because sometimes you don't want to switch in and out. Sometimes you just need the recovery, but you can't really afford to potentially, you know, switch out the Sinistra. You want to keep it on the field. So Life Dew able to heal itself and its ally is pretty solid. And final Pokemon on this team is going to be a standard Incineroar. This one's going to be opting for the Shucker Berry to take advantage of surviving really strong ground type attacks from like Garchomp or the Excadrill. And then the EV spread here on this Incineroar is going to be a really specially defensive Incineroar, which is able to just get the jump point in special defense, because this mod is supposed to help out pivot into stuff like Mega Gyarados Hyper Voice, Eternal Floret, Moonblast, or Dazzling Gleam, as well as like any of the really strong special attacks from like Sylveon, Mega Gardevoir, the Mega Floette, Charizard Y, just being able to take all those special attacks really well. And again, you have multiple forms of Intimidate, so you don't have to be a physically defensive Incineroar, since you'll be able to live with close combat from Caesar at -1, and then the rest is just going to go into defense. This is a support Incineroar. It definitely could have been faster on this team, because Taunt on Incineroar tends to be on a faster variant, so you could stop like opposing Incineroar's parting shot. But realistically, I think otherwise it's only really there for like maybe some Trick Room stuff for the meantime, and then maybe some like Sleep Powders or Thunder Waves on like support Pokemon, or maybe Sableye. But across the board, I don't think it's really necessary to run that much speed on the Incineroar that has Taunt, and it just wants to stick around. You do have access to the Flare Blitz, the Fake Outs for the support, the Taunt again to be able to stop any of like those annoying stuff like Encore or Will-O-Wisp or more, and then Parting Shot, of course, to be able to pivot. Intimidate, of course, fantastic ability. Not much to say about Incineroar. Incineroar, Sinistra, plus like Floette has been a pretty good combination that we've seen throughout the format. And then with Dragon Dance, Megas like the Gyarados and Mega Charizard X out there, yeah, it's just going to be effective mon. Not surprising. So how to use the team? Well, it is mainly a Protect the King team, which means that you are usually supporting the Floette or your Mega Gyarados and allowing them to try to run away with the game after setting up a few of your Dragon Dances or Calm Minds in order to be able to sweep the game. So that is the main idea of this team, and you have multiple support Pokemon to be able to do that. Of course, with Incineroar, Sinistra, and Caesar. Of course, Incineroar and Caesar does have access to that Fake Out. You also have Parting Shot on the Incineroar to lower the attack and be able to pivot into Sinistra for healing, while Caesar does have access to Coaching to boost the physical defense of the Floette, but also can boost the physical attack stat of your Garchomp and your Gyarados. It is able to help with the pacing, especially against opposing Incineroar, because if they're spamming the Intimidate switch in and out, as well as Parting Shot, you will need the Coaching to be able to outpace those drops. So having Coaching plus Dragon Dance on the same turn can be really effective that way. You could also lead stuff like the Sneasler plus the Garchomp immediately, have access to Fake Out or Coaching. Next to the Garchomp can be another effective tool in order to allow the Floette or the Gyarados to be able to clean up in the end game. But a lot of this is just going to be trying to set up whether your Gyarados or your Floette will be able to win the game. And there are some cases where you might bring the Eternal Floette and the Gyarados to the same game. You're probably going to be Mega Evolving the Eternal Floette in most cases, because Gyarados can function without its Mega Evolution, while Floette, while it can, it's a lot weaker in that case. However, yeah, you could bring it for double Intimidate support for the Floette, which is definitely an option, especially with Incineroar Gyarados. Double Intimidate, being able to pivot around, and then Floette just able to take the physical attacks, and then after Calm Mind, take the special attacks pretty well. That is another option that you can opt for. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and this recreation, you can check it out with the replica code on your screen, and I will also link the creator if I am able to find them down below in the description. But otherwise, let's get started and play some games. All right, we have the Hisuian Samurott, Sneasler, Hisuian Typhlosion, Aerodactyl, Gardevoir, and the Mousehold. Man, this is not a team I would really want to bring the Mega Gyarados against. I could see Gyarados in regular form, but I don't really like bringing the Mega against Gardevoir plus Mousehold, which is not fun, but granted, we'll bring it. I think it's just like Gyarados, Sneasler again as the lead. We have Fake Out Pressure, which is pretty decent here. Think in the bag, do I bring Sinistcha? I don't think Sinistcha's that good against this team. I think it's Incineroar and Garchomp, because Garchomp offense, it looks pretty decent here. The problem is we're bringing Moss that just don't have Protect, so we can't stall out Tailwind, which is pretty bad. I assume it's going to be like, could it be Mega Aerodactyl on this team? Maybe. If it's Sash, that's the problem. Like, the problem is I just can't see myself stalling out Tailwind with this mode, but I think there are like no other better mons unless I bring the Floette mode, but we're bringing the Gyarados. Aerodactyl plus the Gardevoir versus Sneasler plus the Gyarados. Okay, please trade some burden. Okay, Intimidate goes off. Okay, so that's not too bad, I suppose. We have a few options. I like the idea of going Incineroar and just Dire Clawing immediately, because I think with the Intimidate from the Incineroar, we should maybe live a dual Wing Beat. Also, there could be, like, I assume they're going to Mega the Gardevoir if they let something like this, so it could be Sash Arrow, which helps me a lot here. I think we just go out and Incineroar for another Intimidating Aerodactyl, because -2 Aerodactyl probably doesn't knock out Sneasler, I imagine, and then we Dire Claw the Gardevoir. Because we want to get rid of Gardevoir, because Gardevoir is the biggest threat to the Mega Typhlosion or Mega Gyarados at this rate. Nice, okay. We do see a Mega Evolution from the Gardevoir. Perfect. If they went for dual Wing Beat, it doesn't KO Sneasler. They're -2 attack. And if they Tailwind, it's either Psyshock or Hyper Voice. Dire Claw should KO the Gardevoir, because I don't think you can live max attack Dire Claw unless you're Bold. And no one runs Bold Gardevoir. So here's a Dire Claw. We trade for Gardevoir. Goodbye, Gardevoir. Okay, really great turn one. Really, really great turn one. We'll definitely take that. So that's a pretty good start. Granted, let's see what comes out. Samurott, all right? I think this is probably just a Fake Out. Is it Fake Out Samurott or Fake Out Aerodactyl? It's probably just a Fake Out Samurott, bring out the Garchomp angle. We gotta watch out, because after some layers of spikes, we're gonna be in a little bit danger with our Sneasler. If they Protect Aero, that's amazing for me. Is this double Protect? I should win the Gyarados if that's the case. Yeah, I could have went in Gyarados and got a free Intimidate, which would have been really nice. But granted, I don't mind this spot at all. Like, Garchomp just came in for free, which is fantastic. And now I have a few different plays I could go for. I probably just want to go Gyarados. Even if I take damage, it's not like too bad. And then we're going to go for a Rock Slide for damage into the Arrow, but also like a bit of damage into the Samurott to break potential Sashes. Like, I don't know if there's a Sash Mon involved here, but there's probably one of them. So I'm going to go out into my Gyarados. Get another Intimidate off. So this is -3 Aerodactyl and -1 Samurott. Ice Fang, this does no damage. Yeah, perfect. And we don't even take Rock Slide damage on the Gyarados, which I hugely appreciate. Night Slash, okay. No crit, which is great. And Rock Slide connects, which is really nice. Okay, big damage there. Now I don't see a problem with just me going for a Dragon Dance, and I'm gonna Mega Evolve and go out into Incineroar. I am now weak to Sacred Sword, which is a little bit concerning, but they're -2 with Sacred Sword, so I don't think it's too worrisome. I'm more worried about like a crit Rock Slide. We're gonna see Aerodactyl Retreat, which is perfect actually, out into Mousehold, so I definitely will take that. Okay. The only problem with Mega Gyarados is with Adamant Max Attack, you don't outspeed Aerodactyl +1, so I would need +2. So I am gonna Dragon Dance up, and let's see. Did the Samurott attack here or not? It went for Night Slash. Okay, perfect. No crit. As we do get a Dragon Dance up. I think I want +2. I think I want +2. Because I need +2 to KO. I need to outspeed the Aerodactyl. And they're going to forfeit. So once they saw the Gyarados was dancing, they decided it's time to exit from the party. You know what? Understandable. Gyarados takes the win. Very nice. Alright, we have Gyarados, Vivillon, Basculegion, Torkoal, Farigiraf, and Kangaskhan. This team, alright, it should be the Scarf Vivillon stuff, unless they change the team here, which it's not amazing, but it's like playable, I suppose. The Vivillon is super annoying to deal with because of Sleep Powder, so we have a few options to keep in mind here. Do I want to go Sinistcha lead, or do I want to go... The Blastoise is Dark Pulse, right? So it can't touch Mega Gyarados if I get one Dragon Dance up. I think lead-wise then is Gyarados Sinistcha, because I can Rage Powder redirect the Vivillon Sleep Powder, which is something they do have to consider. Then I think I'm bringing Incineroar plus Sneasler in the back. Garchomp's is nice, but it's not necessary against this team. Mega Gyarados is just really good into my opponent's team, because with a +1 Dragon Dance setup and Intimidate support from Incineroar, I'm not really worried about Basculegion endgame. I do have to watch about Thunderbolt Farigiraf because they do have access to it, so let's see what comes out here. Blastoise Vivillon is fine, okay? As I do lead the Sinistcha and the Gyarados. Alright, turn 1, just Dragon Dance up, and... do I want to Matcha Gotcha, or do I want to Rage Powder, or do I want to Protect? I'm Special Defensive Sinistcha, so I think I probably live a Timid Hurricane. I don't think they're invested, if I remember right. Yeah, I'm just going to go for Matcha Gotcha. Dragon Dance up and Matcha Gotcha sounds like a pretty okay play. I'm trying to figure about, okay, what are the trades here? Sleep Powder is obviously annoying, but it's not like the Blastoise would do that much damage after it takes a Matcha Gotcha, so that should be fine here. I think they're gonna Hurricane, but I'm pretty sure I live a Hurricane. They run Timid Vivillon, and I don't even think they run Special Attack usually on the Scarf variants. Yeah, they go for Hurricane. We should be tanking this all right. Yeah, we take it really well, actually. Like, that's better than I was expecting. That's actually way better than I was expecting, damage-wise. We get Dragon Dance up with our Gyarados, so now we're at +1 attack and speed, which is really good. One more and we outspeed the Vivillon. They go for Water Spout. Okay, that's really good for me, actually. Yeah, it doesn't do too much damage. We get a Matcha Gotcha off into the Blastoise. Weaken the power to Water Spout. How are they breaking through the Gyarados? Yeah. Really nice. I don't think I live a Hurricane after, but this is still fine. I should Dragon Dance again, I think. Do I Rage Powder here? Actually, I should Rage Powder here. I think I just always Dragon Dance and I Rage Powder. There's no punish to this. If they change the team, then if Vivillon is tail... Like, the only way this goes bad is if they change the team. Because it's Fake Out, Shell Smash, Water Spout, Dark Pulse on the Blastoise, so I should be fine here. They go for Hurricane. It is Scarf on the Vivian, so they outspeed my Gyarados at +1. But after +2, I'll survive. I also live with Sinistra, which is a crazy survival, which we'll definitely take as we get Dragon Dance up with our Gyarados. And now we're at +2. It's looking really unlikely for them to do anything. They go for Shell Smash, which is fine because like they're not doing that much damage, as I mentioned before. At this point, like, what's stopping me from clicking Crunch plus a Rage Powder? Or yeah, like a Crunch Rage Powder is really good here. Or not Crunch, but Lash Out. I'm just gonna Lash Out the Blastoise and I'm just gonna Rage Powder. Because we just don't want to take a Hurricane Confusion on Gyarados, because if we get Hurricane Confused, we are probably losing here. So, never risk it here if I don't have to. We go for a Lash Out. Goodbye Blastoise. Really unlikely its King has gone back. So, I think that Gyarados should clean up here, if I'm not mistaken. They go for Hurricane. I'm feeling pretty good about the spot. It's not looking good for my opponent, I'll say that much. This Gyarados looks like a monster for them at this point. We're gonna go on into Incineroar now. I suppose we get Intimidate off if some... I mean, if Basket Legion comes out, I guess, but we have Fake Out. If this is the Giraffe, we get to click Lash Out on a Giraffe plus Flare Blitz, which is pretty good. So I don't really see a problem with this. Yeah, they bring out Giraffe. And I don't see a problem with going for Lash Out on a Giraffe plus a Flare Blitz. Yeah. So I feel pretty good about the spot. Yet, of course, things could always go wrong. Now I have to risk the confusion because I can't let Giraffe get Trick Room up. They go for Helping Hand. I don't think Helping Hand allows you to KO the Gyarados of Hurricane because Mega Gyarados does have really good defenses. Lash Out. Oh, it's Cobra Berry? Okay, does this KO? I'm pretty sure it does. +2? Yeah. It's also like very offensive for a Giraffe. I forgot about a Cobra Berry. I'm pretty sure the crit doesn't matter because they're modest. If they were bold, maybe it does. But yeah, I think this is completely fine regardless. Yeah, they go for Hurricane. We should survive. Oh, easily. That confusion's really annoying. As we do get Flare Blitz off. Into the Vivian. Vivian goes down. Okay. I mean, granted, I think we still have a... I would say guaranteed win. It's a guaranteed win if it's the original. If it's the... If they changed it, then it's a bit different. Because they are going to go Basket Legion, which is not surprising here. I'm going on to Sneasler for the Gyarados because we don't want to self-hit, and we're going to go for Parting Shot into the Basque. We don't need to break the Sash immediately at this moment. We need one attack with Gyarados and then one attack with either Instant or Sneasler. I think they're going to go for a self-hit at this point. We're going to go Sneasler here. As they go for Liquidation into the Incineroar because they're hoping for the self-hit. That makes sense, but that's fine. And the Gyarados is easy to survive. Well, here's the thing. If they change the team to Jolly Basque, we lose. If it's Adamant Basque, we win. So we're gonna go for Lash Out and we're gonna go for Dire Claw. I could also Protect because it gives me multiple angles to get a Dire Claw status, but yeah, we're gonna go for Lash Out, Dire Claw. But because if I get Sleep, then it's like a 50-50 the next turn anyway. So it's like, I don't think it changes too much. Coaching doesn't change anything at the current moment with Gyarados because I don't live the last respect from the Basket Legion when it's all this powerful at this point. So let's see. We get a few chances for Dire Claw status as well. And they also have to rate if Gyarados wants to Protect or not this turn. So they also have to get it right as well. Dire Claw going to come out in the Basque. And it's, yeah, it's not Jolly. They run Adamant, which is not surprising. So Lash Out will KO the Basket Legion. We do outspeed for our Gyarados, still at neutral, and we do KO the Basket Legion. So I feel like it was a pretty good game because Mega Gyarados was just really hard for my opponent to stop, and I was able to set it up. Granted, of course, there were some stuff like crits that could have happened. We saw the Hurricane Confusion happen, but thankfully nothing too crazy bad happened. All right, we see a very interesting team. Glade, Glamora, Whimsicott, Quaquaval, Archaludon, and the Farigiraf. Is this Rain Dance on the Farigiraf? This is the only mon I think that gets Rain Dance other than Quaquaval, which... No, I don't think it's going to be Rain Dance Quaquaval. It's probably Mega Glamora or Mega Glade. I guess it could be Mega Glade as well. That's always a thing that I'd have to consider here. Gyarados is looking really good with Dragon Dance. But dealing with this Whimsicott could be a little bit annoying. I think it's Sneasler lead with Gyarados. There's a lot of mind games with Farigiraf and Whimsicott though, which is something I'm gonna have to really watch out for. Is Garchomp good? It is decent here actually. Maybe I should just lead Garchomp. Garchomp's pretty solid here actually. I think Garchomp plus Gyarados is not a terrible lead here. Yeah, I think Garchomp Gyarados is pretty good. Do I want Incin? I feel like it's rather Sneasler. I don't need the Intimidate that much in this game. And then Sinistra I like for the redirection more. Because it can support my Gyarados instead of multiple Dragon Dances, which I think is better. Incin is nice, but it's not necessary. So we'll see. Like, Taunt is nice against Farigiraf, but it's not really that great otherwise. So let's see what my opponent decides to go. Whimsicott Quaquaval, okay. As we do lead the Garchomp and the Gyarados. So I'm kind of curious on what set the Quaquaval runs, because I haven't seen a Quaquaval in like so long. Whimsicott, I think they have the wrong item, because I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Mental, but I don't know what move that you can lower your stat with on Whimsicott that you want to trade. But sure, that means I can always Poison Jab, knock it out. Like, what? And then we Dragon Dance. Like, Quaquaval could have Ice Spinner, but it doesn't KO the Garchomp, so I'm just going to Dragon Dance and Ice Spinner. They go for a Moonblast, but we have Roselli Berry, so I don't think Aqua Step into Moonblast with Roselli Berry should KO the Garchomp. And then they won't have Tailwind, which is really nice, so yeah. I was pretty safe on this. So here's a Poison Jab into the Whimsicott. Does take the knockout into the Whimsicott. Why was it white? I am pretty sure they just thought it was Mental Herb and then they just forgot about it. It is Ice Spin on Quaquaval, so this is actually KO the Garchomp. It does KO the Garchomp, okay, but that's fine. Dealing with the Whimsicott is pretty nice, and with the Dragon Dance, I'm faster than Glamora anyway with my Gyarados, so that's not too bad. So I guess the question is, do I want to go Sinistra or do I want to go Sneasler? Sneasler does have access to coaching as well as like Dire Claw to Quaquaval or Close Combat for some big damage. Or I could go Sinistra for redirection. Both are pretty reasonable. I think I'd rather go Sinistra first. Glamora coming in. Okay, perfect. I actually like having the Sinistra out a bit more here because I can go for Protect and Matcha Gotcha here because I don't think they can knock out this specially defensive Sinistra. I'll say Sludge Bomb, Ice Spinner, Double Up, which I guess is kind of scary. Actually, no. My best play is just to go for Matcha Gotcha plus Waterfall. Because they can't knock out the Gyarados in one hit. Yeah. Unless this is Sash Glamora, but yeah, this is Mega, which I'm not surprised by. So, Waterfall, KO to Glamora, Matcha Gotcha, threatens huge damage on Quaquaval. We should be fine. Yeah, perfect. So Waterfall going to come out into the Glamora. Does take the knockout, so Glamora goes down. We didn't Mega Evolve because we are weak to fighting moves at the current moment if we do Mega Evolve, so that's definitely not a risk you want to take here. They go for a knockoff into Sinistra, which does actually a decent chunk. Okay, I'm assuming this Quaquaval doesn't have Protect. And we get a single target Matcha Gotcha off. That's basically all I needed. Oh man, that it's more than I thought actually to Quaquaval. Okay, we get all that recovery back with Sinistra. No burn, but granted, the battle's gonna be forfeit. Okay, they just lost up to Gyarados straight up. They did lose to Gyarados straight up when they lost their Whimsicott. We will take it. All right, we have Delphox, Rotomosh, King Gambit, Garchomp, the Hisuian Gudra, and the Sylveon. So, definitely an interesting team here. Hisuian Gudra. If it has Thunderbolt, that could be a bit annoying. There's a lot of things that are annoying. Gyarados doesn't outspeed Delphox at +2 or +1, unfortunately. I need +2. Sneasler Gyarados, though, seems pretty solid against my opponent's team. So I think I'll just lead Sneasler plus Gyarados. The question is in my brain to Garchomp. I feel like Garchomp is a bit weird here. Do I want Incineroar for the extra fake out? Maybe it's just Garchomp Sinistra. Because I want extra damage in case it's necessary for the King Gambit. And then Sinistra Redirection is pretty nice against my opponent's team. So you know what? I'm going to bring these 4. Even if it's a little bit awkward, because I would have liked Incineroar to be able to pivot on Sylveon, which would have been great. I think that Sinistra Redirection is still super valuable. The way to redirect Rotom Wash is always going to be great for Mega Gyarados, because that allows me to set up. If I get 2 Dragon Dances off, I think I am in a really good spot here. I do got to watch out about Mega Evolving, because there is the Sylveon, which is going to be the biggest threat here. Like, Sylveon's going to be the biggest threat. So let's see what my opponent decides here, lead-wise. Delphox Rotom. Okay, this is a pretty simple fake-out Dragon Dance here, which is cool by me. And if they Psychic, they activate Sash immediately, which is cool, because I can go for Coaching Lash Out the following turn. So I'm going to go for Dragon Dance, and I'm going to go for fake-out into the Rotom. Alright, let's see what they're going to go for. I also get to see if the Rotom's potentially Scarf, because if it's Scarf, it outspeeds the Delphox. The Quick Attack from Sylveon, I guess, is going to be a bit annoying if they have Quick Attack, but granted, I feel like as long as Gyarados is +2 attack, I KO everything on their team. So all I need is a 2 Dragon Dances or a +1 from Dragon Dance and then the Coaching afterward. So we see Delphox Mega Evolve. As long as this isn't Wisp or Encore, we should be fine. I guess if they have Encore, it could get a little bit annoying. We do fake out the Rotom here and Dragon Dance up. If it's Encore, do I want to try to play around that? Because I was about to say, why am I faster than Delphox? It went for Trick Room. Okay. I was about to say, like, what? Trick Room Delphox. That's a new one. I'm going to risk Sinistra here and just protect my Gyarados because I would like to see... Okay, this gets actually kind of tough. Depending on how fast the Delphox is. I imagine the Delphox still has speed though. It just is probably carrying Trick Room for a Trick Room mode, but I guess we'll find out. They go for a Wisp into Gyarados, which makes sense, and then Psychic. Yeah, perfect. Sinistra eats. Okay. We saw the speed order too, so it's fine for me to go for a Waterfall into the Delphox slot and go for a Protect, or not Protect, Rage Powder with Sinistra. Is the Delphox actually faster or slower than my Gyarados? I'd be very shocked if it is. Waterfall should KO the Delphox because Delphox has really bad defenses. Trick Room Mega Delphox. Not one on my bingo card though. Rotom gonna retreat, which is fine. This is King Gambit or Sylveon? Goodra. Okay, that's fine. More importantly, who's faster? Oh my goodness, it is actually faster. Mystical Fire, so it's like full-on support Delphox, I guess. I do get the Waterfall into the Delphox to take the KO. Granted, okay, but this is such a weird spot to be in. The Goodra is still going to be really tough, but granted, like, this is definitely playable. We are going to go out into the Sneasler as they bring out the Rotom. Can I KO Rotom here? There's 2 times of Trick Room, right? Yeah, 2 times of Trick Room. So I could Dragon Dance here, or I could fake out into Lash Out immediately. Do I have to Mega Evolve here? I might have to. I don't think the Goodra can be carrying T-Bolt for Basky Legion, so... I think I have to Dragon Dance fake out. Oh, this is going to be really weird against the Goodra. It could also just be Iron Defensing here if they have Iron Defense, which is not great. I don't know if they're going to T-Bolt or if they're going to go for Dragon Dance. I don't think they Body Press immediately, but if they do, it shouldn't KO. So we fake out the Rotom. It's Shelter. Could I went for a Lash Out immediately? Or yeah. Although, actually, no, I should stay in regular form. That's the thing. I should stay in regular form. Okay. Another Dragonets, but the problem is I think Gudra's probably going to... Oh, this is really bad, actually. This is really bad. We gotta protect Gyarados and get Sneasler out of here in the Garchomp, because I need Sneasler to close combat through the Gudra. This is really tough. I might need to flinch the Gudra down realistically. Because Sylveon in back is going to make this really tough. Unless it's not Sylveon back. Maybe it's like King Gambit back, which makes it, I guess, playable. Let's see if they shelter a body press. Yeah, I had a feeling they're going to shelter. I imagine this is also Wisp into the Sneasler slot. Yeah. I should have probably went on the aggressive here. The Protect was super obvious. I could have went for Lash Out into the Rotom. I do think I would still always switch out Sneasler into Garchomp. But yeah, this is now looking not great. Breaking through the Gudra seems impossible right now, but I will Rock Slide. But I guess like Trick Room Delphox is a thing I had to guess. Unfortunately, there was not really much. I think with the information, I think it's fine with how I play. But granted, like, yeah, obviously the result is kind of unfortunate here. Lash Out will KO the Rotom. If I get a flinch on the Gudra, there's a chance, because then I could actually maybe force the Gudra into isolation. Rock Slide does nothing, but that's not surprising. Okay, maybe we have a chance. Maybe we have a chance. What's the final mon? Oh, it is King Gambit, actually. Okay. Huh. I think Protect Go Sneasler is probably the right call here. I think they would protect Gambit or double up my Gyarados. I don't think the Garchomp's a threat at all, but we'll see. Gonna bring out the Sneasler. And let's see what they decide to go for here. Sucker Punch. Perfect. This is Body Press. Yeah, okay. This ends up being really good for me, because now I can actually put on a bit more offensive pressure. I can go for a Dragonets or I can go for a Waterfall. I think I'm just going to Waterfall to King Gambit, and I'm going to go for Fake Out into the Gudra. I could have Dragonets if I read the Gambit to Protect, but we don't know if it has Protect, so I think it's just better to go for the Waterfall. If Waterfall KOs the Gambit, we're actually in a really decent spot, but it's like, obviously, there's still a lot of loose cons here. Kind of curious on how much damage the Close Combat will do to the Gudra. We do get a Fake Out off in the Gudra. They didn't protect Gambit, which is good. They Sucker Punch the Sneasler. Okay, that actually works out really well for me, as we do get a Waterfall off into the Gambit. We do take the knockout on Gambit for crit. I don't know if it matters. It depends on the Gambit spread, but I mean, definitely we're not complaining here. All right, we can go for multiple flinches, or we could go for Waterfall flinch, or we just go for damage. I think the better place to go for damage here. We're gonna go for Close Combat into Lash Out, because I imagine Close Combat still does at least like 35-ish. I think it does around 35-ish, and then Lash Out should do maybe like 15. Maybe it does more because we're +2, they're +4. Lash Out. Yeah, about 23. That's reasonable. We do get a Close Combat off. Yeah, like we're doing really good damage here with the Close Combat, and they can only target one slot. They go for Body Press. They read the Gyarados Protect, so they target the Sneasler. And the thing is, now I think I win the game because now I can Lash Out Close Combat again. Perfect. And even if they KO Gyarados, I can get multiple Close Combats off in the Gudra. I'm kind of curious if the Gudra even has Protect, because I assume not. It might be a Life Dew for recovery. If they have Protect, that's fine, because it looks like another Lash Out plus Close Combat will easily KO the Gudra based on the damage we saw prior. So we should still win. And that is a thing about like these Iron Defense mons. They do take a bit of a time for setting up here, but I definitely could have played a bit better by KOing that Rotom on the turn. But we do get a close combat off into Gudra, and we will take the win. So a little bit of RNG, but I think I did make the best plays possible and try to figure out a way to come back, because it was not looking good. I will say it was not looking good after the Trick Room Delphox. All right, we have Garchomp, Venusaur, Incineroar, Charizard, Sinistcha, and Eternal Flow. This is the team that won the first regional championship of champions in Indianapolis. Granted, it is not an easy matchup for this team because actually if it's the Venusaur doesn't have a grass move, it's decent for my Gyarados, I suppose. But Sleep Powder is always a move you have to play around, which is not fun. So I'm debating about what my lead line is here. Gyarados plus Sneasler seems pretty okay here. I could also lead... I have a bunch of options lead-wise. I think it is probably just Sneasler plus the Gyarados. I don't think I need Sinistcha in this game because it doesn't really do much. Redirection is nice, but I don't think it's really that great here. I think I probably want Garchomp because it's like the only fast mon I really have, and I think I want Incineroar for the Venusaur. Yeah, I think this probably works. I don't need the redirection in this game because there is the double grass that my opponent has access to, so what's Sinistcha really going to do against that? And yeah, like the extra recovery, I'm probably going down to hits, so I don't think the recovery is going to help out here when I'm usually probably getting two-shot by everything anyway, even after the recovery. So we're going to see Flood Garchomp lead, which is definitely an interesting one here. Okay. Versus Gyarados Sneasler. All right. I don't see a problem with just going for a Dragon Dance and probably a swap here. I could also go for coaching. I kind of want to go for coaching. I think their two plays are... You know what? I'm going to go for coaching. Switch to Instant Protect. Oh, wait. They switch out to Floette, which is an interesting play. Okay. Incineroar coming in for that slot. I thought the Incineroar was coming in for the other slot, but you know what? We'll take it. So I'm going to get a Drain Dance up. They go for Stomach Tantrum. That's fine. Because I do have... Well, I guess Focus Sash, which I would have had Focus Sash, but you know what? This is still okay. And we get a Drain Dance up and a coaching. So now we're at +1 Gyarados, which is pretty good. You know what? I will gladly take this. Because now I can go for a Waterfall into the Incineroar slot, and I can either go into Incineroar or I could go into Garchomp. I think I like Garchomp a little bit more. Or do I go Incin? Actually, I like Incin a little bit more because I do have access to Fake Out. Because I think Garchomp should switch out into the Floette, and then Incineroar probably going to go for a Fake Out in the Gyarados, I imagine. I would like a one more Dragon Dance so I outspeed the Garchomp afterward, but I do need to start KO. Like, if they parting shot my Gyarados, it gets really bad because then I'm losing out on the trades because Dragon Dance can only cover against one parting shot, but it can't cover against Intimidate plus parting shot. So I think I need to start doing damage. Blood gonna come out. I could have Dire Clawed that slot, but it's still fine. I think this is pretty reasonable for me regardless. Because Incineroar coming in with Fake Out pressure and then the Dragon Dance is looking really good here. So let's see. Yeah, they Fake Out my Gyarados, which is not too surprising here. Okay. Now we go for Dragon Dance. The question is, who do I Fake Out? I think it's probably the Incin. If they protect, that's amazing for me. That's amazing for me, actually. Because now I have a Dragon Dance up with my Gyarados. I'm now +2 attack. I'll guarantee KO the Incin. I outrun the Garchomp, and Waterfall is looking really hard for them to stop. So this is looking really nice. Okay. Definitely will take that. Now we go for a Waterfall into the Incineroar slot, and we're going to go for Parting Shot into the Floette. Yeah. Because I could see Floette switching out to Sinistcha, or I guess Incineroar also switching out. There's like a lot of plays that they can make, but yeah, we see the Floette switch out Sinistcha. That makes sense to me, yep. Like, I knew one of the two was switching to Sinistcha, and I had a feeling it was a Floette, because if I went for Waterfall into the Floette and the KO, they just lost the game. So Waterfall comes out, knocks out the Incineroar, so now my Gyarados is boosted for the entire game. It is boosted for the entire game. I get a Parting Shot off in a Sinistcha. And this is looking pretty dang good right now. This is looking really good. I think I'm actually in a really solid spot to win the game entirely. So now we go out into Sneasler here. And we're in a commanding spot here because now I can go for a lash out into the Sinistra, take the knockout at +2, like +2 lash out will KO. I'm pretty sure this was, what berry were you? Okay, Flood comes out. Why wouldn't I just lash out and go for a fake out? They could go out into Garchomp for the Flood slot, but even if they go into Garchomp for the Flood slot, it's fine because as long as I kill the Sinistra and get rid of the redirection, the waterfall is just gonna do too much damage, I think. Because I don't think the float was crazy bulky if I remember right. I'm pretty sure it was max speed, modest. So I don't think they had that much bulk, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, they stayed in here though, so that's perfect. Is this double protect? Double protect is fine. If I missed a KO, it's not awful either. I think I'm still in a pretty okay spot here, but we'll see. They did attack with, or no, that doesn't mean they attacked with Float. It could just be double protect. Okay, no. Fake out damage. Yep. And lash out here. So they go for a Rage Powder. I think this guarantees me the game at this point because I'll KO the finish up of Lash Out. Yeah. Lash out into the Sinistra, takes the knockout, and yeah, now I have a or I think I should have a guaranteed win. I'm like pretty sure they can't do anything here. Because Waterfall KOs the Float. Because I'm +2 attack. I outspeed Scarf Garchomp, so they can't even flinch me down. I'm like too healthy for them to KO even with crit. So I just go for a Waterfall into the Float, and I go out into my Incin. Because I'll get intimidated off into Garchomp. I'll have Fake Out Pressure next turn. Either the Float protects. The Garchomp has to lock itself into a move. And I'm feeling pretty good about this spot. I have multiple rounds of Fake Out that I can go for into the Garchomp. I can even Fake Out to the Float slot if I want next turn and just Waterfall the Garchomp that way. But no protects. I do get a Waterfall off into the Float and the game is over. Because we get rid of the Float and unless they even if they Dragon Claw crit, that's fine. They go for Stomping Tantrum. We are Shuck Bear, yeah. We also had our Garchomp in the back, which was looking pretty good to clean up. So, feeling pretty good about how I played this offensively. Like, I just took pretty good offensive momentum. And if you play a bit too passive against it, I was the one who was controlling the pace, which was important. Like, I read the switches, was able to punish them. And, yeah. Like, maybe they could have hard swapped from Incin, but sure. All right, we have Garchomp, Sneasler, Basculegion, the Whimsicott, King Gambit, and Charizard. So, I do love Gyarados here. Gyarados plus Sneasler's looking pretty good. Or do I want to lead the Garchomp? Because actually Garchomp's probably a better lead. Because Poison Jab into Sneasler without having to risk the Sash on Sneasler. Or Poison Jab for the Whimsicott without having to risk Sash on Sneasler is pretty good. Because I would like or I could lead Garchomp plus Sneasler, which is also a really good lead here. I am so tempted to potentially lead that as well. I think Garchomp plus the Gyarados is not a bad lead though, and I think it's probably still pretty decent. I don't really need Sinistra in this game. I think Incineroar plus Sneasler should still be pretty good because I like having the Gyarados. I could start off setting up Dragon Dances, which is pretty nice. It's also like if I lead Garchomp, Sneasler, and they lead Basculegion for some reason, I'm like not in a good spot. And I think it's pretty good for the most part. I don't really need Sinistra here. Redirection's okay, but it's not really that helpful. I'd rather have the offensive piece in the Garchomp. I need the Sneasler for the King Gambit, as well as coaching is pretty solid. And then Incineroar with Intimidate to slow down Basculegion. Garchomp, it's pivoted in Charizard is pretty good. And then, of course, Gyarados is going to be the sweeper here. So, we're going to see Garchomp Sneasler. Okay. So, I'd say Gyarados is a pretty effective lead here. All right. A lot of things I can do here immediately. I think White Herb, not surprising. I don't want to Mega Evolve here. I think the thing about Double Intimidate that's broken, if they didn't lead the Gambit, is just going back to my Incin now. I get to go Incin and I get to click Dragon Dance, which I think is a pretty decent play here. They could fake out one of my slots, which is fine. Oh, the Garchomp switched out. Whimsicott, that's fine. Okay. I was about to say if they got the King Gambit and it's like potential speed tie, great. But we know it's a really fast Garchomp. It's either Scarf or it's max speed and we're speed tying. So I get another Intimidate off, which is nice. as they fake out the Garchomp slot, or what was the Garchomp slot. So I say this is pretty good. I get a Dragon Dance up with my Gyarados, and now I have access to fake out into the Whimsicott. I could also, of course, just Mega to prevent myself from getting affected by it, but I don't think that's necessary here. The thing is, I would take a lot of damage on the instant slot, which isn't great, but I don't think that's too bad, because I definitely live close combat from Sneasler here. So we're going to go for a fake out into the Whimsicott, and I think I'm just going to go for a waterfall attempt into the Sneasler, because getting rid of Sneasler is still pretty nice for me. Even if they protect the Whimsicott, even if this is double protect, I think this is still an okay trade-off here. Okay? So I fake out into the Whimsicott's protect, which is cool. They go for close combat, but I should be eating it. Yep. Alright. So Incineroar can't pivot anymore, but I think this is still fine. Like, I could have went Sneasler, but I think this is still pretty good. Waterfall should KO the Sneasler at that point. Yep, Sneasler goes down. Alright. Not a bad trade-off here. Garchomp coming in. This is probably Rock Slide and Tailwind. I think I'm just gonna go out into my own Sneasler, and the question is, am I Mega Evolving here? Do I want to Mega Evolve here? I would be taking a decent chunk from Rock Slide, which is not ideal. Nah, I think I just protect here. There's also a world where they rock, if they're Scarf Garchomp, they click Rock Slide plus Moonblast, and that's not a great spot. So I think I'd rather just go Sneasler and protect. Alright. Yeah, they clicked Moonblast Rock Slide, so this is perfect. I don't think they're doubling up the Incineroar slot. Maybe they do. I could see it, I suppose. I think they target the Gyarados, but we'll find out. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good spot to be in. Good spot to be in. So I do have access to fake out here. I think my play is just to go out and... Oh, also, we probably know it's Scarf Garchomp. It could be Slow Whimsicott, though, so there's nothing in stone yet. I think my best play here is just to swap out into Incineroar and go for a Dragon Dance here. I don't know if they're going to protect here or not. I think it might be Scarf Garchomp, but we'll see how they play this turn. They go for Tailwind, which is fine. All right. They go for Rock Slide again? Sure. Gyarados took a decent chunk. Granted, I should still be fine, but it could get a bit ugly. Okay, we do get the second Dragon Dance off. That's huge. Maybe it was just going for a waterfall at that point, but granted, it's still okay. We're gonna go Sneasler, and we're gonna click Fake Out into the Whimsicott. And I think we Dragon Dance again. I'm like pretty sure that this is Scarf Garchomp by the way they're playing this. I'm gonna Dragon Dance. I'm curious if Garchomp's gonna switch out or not. Okay, they stay in. If it is Scarf and it's locked into Dragon Dance, that's pretty good for me because then next turn I have access to protect Dire Claw. But we'll see. Alright, they give me a potential Sash, which is really good. And Whimsicott is in range of the waterfall. Okay. It's got flinches. Okay, we don't flinch with Gyarados, so we're getting... I mean, we can still get pretty unlucky here, so that's the thing, though. That's the thing. Returns a Tailwind our left 2. I mean, we do Dire Claw to Whimsicott. I think we just Dire Claw to Whimsicott and Waterfall, or we protect here. I don't mind Waterfalling the Garchomp, because if I KO the Garchomp and I KO the... But that assumes I don't get flinched with any. I don't know if they Encore the Sneasler or not. Well, if you Encore the Sneasler, I could up the Whimsicott the following turn, so I don't know if that's the play here. I could also just double up the Whimsicott with Waterfall plus... I think I protect, because I can Waterfall the Whimsicott the next turn. If they protect Whims here, this is fine. I can Waterfall the Whimsicott the next turn. I'm assuming... Are you actually... Hold on. Is your Garchomp... No, it is Scarf. Okay, yeah. The way they've been playing this has been feeling like Scarf Chomp. Okay. As we go for the Dire Claw, but it's into the Whimsicott. So, I mean, they could have given me the Garchomp, but I still think that's his okay spot. I think now we go out into... Trying to think. Do I always go... I think I always go for the KO on the Whims. Yeah, I always go for the KO on the Whims here. I go for Dire Claw Waterfall. This endgame could get a little bit spooky, but we'll see. That is really good for me. That should win me the game. Just because I don't have to deal with the flinch chance. Because plus 3 Waterfall should KO Whimsicott. Especially after we saw how much the fake out damage did. They get a crit into my... Oh, wait, no. They move faster than my Gyarados. Okay. Oh, wait. This could be bad. This could be bad. I didn't think the Whims was faster, but then again, Whimsicott is a really fast Mon. Okay. I think it's okay. We can still have bad RNG in this game because when there's Rock Slide Garchomp, there is a way, but it's looking pretty good right now, I'd say. Unless last month's not Garchomp at all, it's like Basket Legion. But I think it should be Garchomp. If it's Basket Legion, we do lose though. Okay, yeah, it's Charizard. That's what I thought. Cause now we can go for coaching into our Garchomp, and we can click Rock Slide. The Garchomp's locked into Rock Slide at like -1 attack, so it's not the biggest threat. We just gotta KO the Charizard, and then we should be fine. But granted, of course, there is a lot of things that could go wrong here, so it's gonna come down to how kind is the game to me or not. The crit on Sneasler shouldn't matter, but we'll see. Okay, that's nice. But the Charizards usually are EV to live Rock Slide, so let's see. Okay, my Sneasler just decides, hey, I'm never gonna flinch here. Now it's just up to Garchomp to clutch up because we have +1. We hit the Charizard. That is a good game. Okay, perfect. Because now the Garchomp can't break through my Garchomp because they're locked in the Rock Slide, it seems, and they can't deal enough damage. Oh my goodness. Scarf Rock Slide is definitely always an interesting endgame. I think I was going to have to play the odds no matter what, but thankfully we were able to. I really thought I would outspeed Whimsicott after +3, but I guess not. I guess not. Alright, we have Lucario, the Slowbro Galar with Rotom Heat, Meowscarada, Basket Legion, and Alolan Ninetales. Definitely a unique team. It should be Mega Lucario, as it's the only Mega Evolution that my opponent could possibly have on their team, which is going to make this kind of unique here. Meowscarada going to be a bit of a troubling Pokemon for my Gyarados. Alright. Lead-wise, Sneasler's pretty good. I wish Jolly would be helpful in this matchup because we'd actually outspeed the Lucario, which is actually kind of concerning. And the Ninetales. Am I going with the Sinistra mode or not? The Sinistra's still not really that great here. I think it's probably leave Garchomp behind because even though it's good into Lucario, the Ninetales is spooky. The Meowscarada could be spooky because it gets access to Triple Axe. So yeah, I think it's probably just Sneasler Gyarados lead. And then in the back, probably Incineroar Sinistra. I don't even really like Sinistra too much, but I think the redirection is a bit too valuable to have here. I'm going to have to play Protect the King with Gyarados here in this matchup, I think. As much as like Garchomp could put in some work, like I don't think it's enough, and I don't know where the ice moves are other than the Ninetales, which means it's a guessing game so many turns that I just don't really think I want to play. Okay, Basket Legion Lucario is definitely an interesting one, as we do lead the Sneasler plus Gyarados. I get Intimidate off, which is nice, into the Basque. Okay, so I have a few options. I can go to Instant here, or I could play on the aggressive. I think I'm going to play on the aggressive. The question is, does the Lucario Mega Evolve or not? So they could, I think the best play here for me is just to fake out the Lucario and go for a Dragon Dance. Because if I do get this play right, I'm in such a good position. You might think, oh, faking out a Lucario with inner focus, that's dumb. But it's like very likely to be Mega Lucario as we see here, which means my play was correct. So I do get to fake out the Lucario as they did Mega Evolve for the power here. So I do get a fake out off into Lucario. I get to see probably the speed confirmation here. Lucario moved first. It could have been a priority like Bullet Punch though, so that doesn't really tell me much. Gets a crit. Like we only know if it's, we know the Basket Legion isn't Adamant max speed. We know it's at least Jolly or that it is Scarf. And Lucario might have went for Bullet Punch here. So I do get my attack and speed boost. Now I do direct and close combat onto Lucario, so this is kind of interesting of a turn. I think I just go out into Instant and I click Dragon Dance here. I don't really see a problem with this because I would like Gyarados boosted as much as possible. So we will switch out to Sneasel to preserve the fake out. Go on and Incineroar. We have Intimidate off to Lucario, and now it's -2 Basque. Let's see if they went for a priority move. Basket Legion switches out into the Ninetales, which is fine. Okay. They did go for a Bullet Punch. Perfect. So this is the best case scenario because now I have fake out into the Ninetales and Waterfall into Lucario. I could also go for another Dragon Dance if I want to. I don't believe there's any +3 calcs that change the game for me here. And I think it's, I don't know if they're going to protect here. I think I just go for a fake out into the Ninetales and I just go for a Waterfall. I'm also going to stay in non-Mega as much as possible until we have to Mega here. So I'm kind of curious on what their next play is. The Ninetales, we deny potential Roar Veil, and it looks like they did attempt to go for attacks here because they're worried about me going for another Dragon Dance. I do get a +2 Waterfall, and I do KO the Mega Lucario. So Lucario goes down, which is perfect, and now we're in a pretty okay spot because against Basket Legion, we know it's, if it has Sash, it's broken, but even if it's Cobra Berry, Lash Out will KO it. They actually do go on to Basque, which is a very interesting play here because now I can just go for a Flare Blitz into the Ninetales slot, and I will go from a Mega Evolution plus the Lash Out because the move I'm worried about the most is Freeze Dry here, so I'm just going to Lash Out and Flare Blitz here. Do as much damage as possible. I'm kind of curious if the last mon's Meowscarada. If it's Meowscarada last, Instant should win the game if I give it a Basque here, and that's what I'm trying to aim for here. So we do Mega Evolve our Gyarados, and we should have a pretty good offensive position here, I'd say. Yeah, Lash Out. This is deleting the Basket Legion like a virus from Mega Man. Yep, goodbye, Basket Legion. Because it reminds me of the Trident from Mega Man Battle Network. Encore? Okay, that's fine. Like, sure. I'm locked in the fake out. I'm swapping Instant out, and we're bringing it back in. What's the final mon? Is it Meowscarada? It is Meowscarada, okay. So I could still theoretically lose, but I think it's super, super unlikely here. We're going to go for a Waterfall into the Ninetales, I think. Because if it's Sash Meowscarada, it can't beat my Incineroar, so I think this should be fine. Yeah, and if they don't protect and try to step a Roar Veil, I thought that was the only way maybe the game could get a bit tricky. I get rid of Ninetales, so Ninetales goes down, and then Meowscarada by itself is looking pretty rough here. It's not Protean, so it's probably Sash. Flower Trick knocks out the Gyarados, but I mean, Gyarados, you have gotten like 3 KOs, so you've kind of done the work that I needed to do. So Gyarados goes down. Now I pretty much have the game sealed because now I can go out into the Incineroar. And yeah, like I have Sinister to heal up the Incineroar and the Sneasler if I really, really want to. It's looking pretty tough for them. So, Gyarados sweep. Alright, we have Charizard, Eternal Floette, Sneasler, King Gambit, Incineroar, and Sinistra. Ooh, okay, how do I want to approach this matchup? So Is this Charizard X? So actually, it's probably Charizard X based on the build. Yeah, this should be Charizard X. Or it's like, I think really highly likely to be Charizard X because they have Incineroar for Fake Out plus Intimidate to Sinistra, which Machigacha healing. Sure, it could be for the Flood, but then they also have Sneasler, and Sneasler likes to run coaching. And then with King Gambit Defiant, probably trying to scare away the Intimidates, I think it makes the most sense as Charizard X. Alright. If that's the case, I think I'm still bringing Gyarados plus Sneasler as my best option here. I think that Sinistra is not great here. I think Instant is definitely good, and I think I bring Garchomp because having offensive pieces against Sneasler King Gambit is probably the way to go here, but we'll see. This could be a tough one, mainly because it protects, like, I think dealing with the Floette Instant Sinistra stuff, if they do go with that, is a bit more difficult, I think, for me. Because the Intimidate obviously impacts me more, while the Calm Minds aren't impacted by them. They lead Sneasler King Gambit, which is fine, as I do lead my Sneasler and the Gyarados. So, pretty okay lead here, I'd say. Kind of curious on what they're going to try to aim for here, but we know it's Sash on the Sneasler, so it's probably coaching. I wonder if they're Admin or Jolly is a good question. I don't think I want to risk Mega Evolution if possible, because even though there is Kowtow, I still am worried about like some of the other lines that they have access to. I think I just Dragon Dance with the Gyarados, and I think I just go for a Fake Out potential speed tie into King Gambit. They're either Jolly or they're Admin. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to Fake Out the King Gambit. They Fake Out my Sneasler, okay. So the question is who they target. I think they target my Sneasler always, but we'll see, I suppose. Because I do get a Dragon Dance up. They did Iron Head, okay. Into my Sneasler, but that is fine. Yeah, that's fine. I can now go into Garchomp. I mean, I could have swapped out the Sneasler. Maybe that play was a bit obvious. I think I probably should have went Garchomp for the Sneasler, because I get to preserve the Sneasler for potential Floette, but also like Garchomp was only here as a secondary offense against these Pokemon. So I should have probably brought it out, because taking that Rough Skin would have been really nice, especially if I called that play that they did go for. But now it gets a little bit awkward, I suppose. I'm gonna go for a Waterfall Earthquake, I guess. It's like my best play, I think. Just to get as much damage as I possibly can. Unless Gambit protects. Is this coaching? We go for Waterfall into the protect. Yeah. Should I went for Dragon Dance again. So now it's +2 Gambit. The odds are not looking super hot. I can still win though, but it's like, obviously not as ideal as I would have wanted, because now they're about to get another Gambit boost into another one. Yeah, I think I played pretty bad the first 2 turns. Yeah, I should have switched out Sneasler into Garchomp turn 1. I should have considered that. Even if I lose Garchomp, which I don't lose to Fake Out plus Iron Head, but even just getting that Rough Skin damage would have been massive, because that means Sneasler doesn't have access to the Unburden, because I could Waterfall the Sneasler the next turn in Earthquake, right? That was definitely a better line. I do think I go for Dragon Dance Earthquake, and I guess I go for a Crit Earthquake, or did I Sucker Punch? They Sucker Punch the Gyarados, so that's actually really good for me. Okay. Because maybe Mega Gyarados can do something at like +2? Maybe? If we crit the King Gambit, maybe there's like a shot too. That's definitely an option we have as well. So we go for an Earthquake. This will do still decent damage to Gambit, like 40%. No, 30. That's a bit lower than I thought. Alright, Sneasler gone. Floette? Instant, okay. I mean, how boost is this Gambit? +3? I don't know if you're Black Glasses or not. I'm just gonna protect and go for an Earthquake again. I need as much damage to the Gambit as possible. I still think I'm losing to the Floette endgame though. That's the problem. There should be Fake Out into Gyarados. Yep. Kowtow, I'm assuming, into the Garchomp. I don't think there's a reason to Sucker. They might also Kowtow the Gyarados, which would be really nice here, but we'll see. I highly doubt it. Yeah, they go for Kowtow, but they do take the rough skin, which is actually kind of important. The damage is actually kind of important. So I get to go Incin, which is gonna give us another boost. Like, this might be possible if the last mon is like Float or Charizard, but we'll see. Because I just gave the Gambit another Defiant boost, so it's +4. I don't think +4 is KO either of my mons, but let's just say it's not putting us in the greatest spot. I'll say that much. We're gonna go for Fake Out and Waterfall. If the Instant switches out, whatever's coming in taking a Waterfall, so that's actually still pretty good for me. Yeah, that's actually still pretty good for me. Oh, wait. They didn't bring any of their Megas. Oh, they relied heavily on Gambit. Oh, man. That means I should have done the Garchomp play. Switch turn 1. I'm going to need a crit. Yeah, I'm going to need a crit. Or a burn. Or a Flare Blitz burn. So I can go for the Mega Lash Out into Sinistcha, and we can go for the Flare Blitz into the King Gambit. I definitely could see Sinistcha switching out into Incineroar, but I don't know if you do that. That's a bit risky, because if I Waterfall Flinch the Gambit, or if I crit, like, then you'll give me 2 moves to potentially crit in the Gambit. They actually gave me the opportunity, huh? Alright, Incineroar in. Alright, my Incin, you gotta clutch up with a crit or something. With a crit or something. I really regret just not going to Garchomp turn 1. Or leading Sneasel Garchomp would have been good here, but it's not good in a Float. That's the problem. Like, it's really bad in a Float game plan. Lash Out into the Incineroar. I mean, it KOs the Incineroar, so I mean, we have something. Oh, it's a crit. Eh. Depends on the Incineroar spread, I suppose. Let's see how much the Flare Blitz is doing to the Gambit. If we crit or burn, we have a shot. Well, crit would win us the game. Burn is like a shot. We don't get any. This is Kowtow. Yep. Into my Incin. Okay. Interesting. I mean, it's possible. It's still possible, unironically. I don't know if the Sinistcha has Protect or not. So do they Sucker Punch here? I feel like they Sucker Punch here. I'm just going to go for Taunt, and I'm going to go for Lash Out. Okay, this might have potential. Because I'm one crit away from potentially winning the game, but we'll see. Sinistcha goes down, which is huge. I do get a Taunt off into the Gambit. I wish it was a Flare Blitz instead. Let's see. Did they Kowtow? The Instant Slot again. Oh, I could have Flare Blitzed. There's Sucker Punch mind games. There's crit chances because we're what? Oh, we're only at neutral. We are not KOing the Gambit for crit. But I think we still go for Waterfall. They don't Sucker Punch here. I don't think you ever Sucker Punch here. Yeah, you should always go for Kowtow. Damage in the Gambit. Okay. My gut is telling me that they're just going to go for Kowtow and not Sucker Punch because of Dragon Dance potential. So I'm just going to Waterfall. If they sucker, they sucker. But I did play this one a bit poorly. I should have... If I Flare Blitz the Gambit, it might have been a more interesting spot. But I thought they might potentially go for like a risky sucker into Incin. Okay, they went for a sucker this time in Nagara. I guess I could have played more Dragon Dance mind games, but realistically, I think it was still really unlikely to win. I would have had to call them at one point anyway. So yeah, I think lead-wise was just... I think lead-wise was fine. I just didn't make the play that I needed to, which was going to Garchomp. I risked my Caesar too early, which is too problematic. So how was the team? I mean, you really can't go wrong with like Protect the King, Incineroar, Sinistcha. The game playing isn't exactly thrilling, but of course, being able to see Mega Gyarados, which is a Pokemon we haven't really been able to see much do really well, just being able to sweep through a lot of teams, is pretty satisfying, and I do think that it is pretty fun. Of course, this challenge was not to bring the Float at all, it was just to bring the Gyarados, but in a lot of cases, there were actually probably moments where I'd probably have just brought the Gyarados and leave the Float behind anyway, because I felt like Gyarados could definitely take advantage with that Dragon Dance sweep, and I do think that Draining Kiss Float does kind of slow down the pacing because it takes a lot of Calm Minds to be able to actually outpace the damage output with the Draining Kiss. So that is something to keep in mind when using the Floette. However, just having the access to recovery, of course, is really good with the Draining Kiss, Floette plus Sinistra, so definitely a mon that could stick around longer on the field. However, Gyarados was really fun, and I do think that, of course, with the ability to set up Dragon Dance and this typing, just having the ability to either Mega Evolve or not and stay in regular form instead of those Dragon Dances did give it a lot of options. If you'd like to try it out, the replica code is on your screen. This is my recreation of the team. If you'd like to check out the details of the team down below in the description, and I will also link the creator if I'm able to find their socials down below as well. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.